Hello, this is Moltrap. Hey, you. Yeah, you, the first person to watch this. Congratulations. You're the first person to watch this and probably the first person to be able to leave a comment. Yeah, I don't give a crap. I said this before, but I guess it needs saying again. I hate it when people leave messages that are like, first, I'm the first comment. It's just a waste of time and space. And if you haven't noticed it, if you've ever done it before, guess what? Within a few hours, you're at like minus 10 on the rating of your comment. So just cut it out, okay? And if you haven't noticed it before, also, I delete whenever I see like a first comment. I hate that so much. I delete it outright. So don't even bother. And yeah, if you do it consistently, I might even ban you. There was one guy that was doing first on like every video for a whole day, and even when he wasn't first, it was ridiculous. I almost banned him, but luckily I'm a nice guy, so he get off this time. In any case, STX Seoul has thrown in Huashen as their replacement for the unfortunately downed July Zerg. And Huashen's going to have to face the Zerg here. And the Zerg has his work cut out for him because Huashen is known for his TVZ. He has really, really good TVZ. Up until getting slaughtered by Jaedong, he had beaten Jaedong a couple times, actually. And oh my god! So Huashen, I think, is probably going to be the favorite in this matchup. It's going to be pretty good. And yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the Zerg is going to have to pick up his game a lot here. He's kind of a second-rate Zerg, and so he's not really someone that you would expect to be able to go up against Huashen. But again, this is StarCraft. Anything can happen. The Zerg did manage to beat July Zerg, although again, Zerg versus Zerg is a little bit crazy. Unless Jaedong is involved, in which case he just has it all planned out so much that it's ridiculous, but he's not here, so... yeah. Anyway, moving on. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention, I gave a shout out to Kuja in my last video. Also, I was going back and looking at my first PMs on YouTube from, September or October, whatever, from last year. And actually, I didn't even realize this before, but Debivort, or that's how I pronounce it. Maybe it's Debivort or Debivort. I'm not sure how you pronounce it really, but it's a funny thing about text. It's funny when people like pronounce pro gamers' names differently. So well, Huashen obviously is a really good example, but I've been told that there's a correct way of saying Huashen's name, so I'm trying to say it the way that I've been corrected to say it. But what's another? I don't know. There's all different pro gamers that are pronounced differently by different people, and sometimes it's just a matter of where you're from. Klazart has I always called Midas because that's what Klazart called him, because that's kind of how it seemed obvious to pronounce his name for Klazart, who's in Ireland. Even though people are always talking about Midas and the Midas touch and Midas. Well, let's not be commercial about this, but Midas is the way it's properly pronounced in the United States, so it's kind of interesting. Anyways, Debivor, who is now one of the one of the artists for our staff. In fact, he's been doing a lot of really, really cool banners for us. He's been doing a lot of really cool banners for various things in the forums and that sort of thing. I haven't seen anything from him recently, but part of that is because our forums crashed and we haven't really done anything with them lately. Well, I mean, we've been putting them back together, so we haven't done any like major events or anything like that in a few weeks. Also, since it's been kind of the off season, where you have these weird games like this going on. Nice fake out there by the Zerg. I don't know if you noticed that he actually, okay, well, he's got a couple Zerglings there to chase the SCV round. But sometimes the Zerg will save up their larvae so they can make a lot of Zerglings, but then they'll do a fake out and they'll actually make drones with the larvae. So sometimes they'll get the opponent to be defensive by making 3 drones at once because they expect it to be 6 Zerglings coming out. And then in this case, it was actually mostly drones that came out. So he did make a few Zerglings, though, to just try and keep that scout out. Keeping the scout out can be important. Usually Zerg versus Terran versus Zerg, they end up being pretty cut and dry as far as almost every game. You have some variation of fast expansion for the Terran and Mutalisks for the Zerg going for straight Mutalisks into usually lurkers and that sort of thing. But the beginning game is almost always the same, so scouting is not quite as important in this matchup. You can usually expect what's going to happen pretty easily. Yeah, Huashen getting just one barracks and going into that command center and scouting. He's done this before. In fact, I believe he beat Jaedong doing that, or some other powerful Zerg that he was up against. Yeah, I think it was Jaedong where he made the one barracks, and he kind of did it this time, except it wasn't really in danger this time, where he floated the barracks away from his front door so that the Zerg player would not be able to see with the Overlord that he wasn't making Marines with it, so that he wasn't sure how many Marines were there. And really, really good move and kind of psych out tactic there. Anyway, so in this case, though, going again one barracks into command center and using the scout to find out that there was nothing going on, so that he knew he was safe getting that quick command center, basically. Yeah. So, but now he's putting up more barracks and an engineering bay, get some turrets going on. This is Blue Storm, in case you hadn't noticed. Blue Storm, the infamous Zerg favoring map. But this is the new Blue Storm. So those of you that I think I've mentioned it in my videos before, but the difference is that there's more space. You can see it even. Oh, nice, picking off that. Wow, targeted the SCV. He must have had sight with that Overlord on which SCV was low on health, and getting a couple Zerglings in as a scout too, pulling a Jelizerg there, sacrificing a couple Zerglings to get in a scout there. Except unlike Jelizerg, he just got him killed pretty quickly and didn't even go down here to see if the Academy was doing anything. But nonetheless, picking off a couple SCVs, and now SCV wins. Oh, SCV loses. Never mind. Poor SCV is just running home to his mom. Mommy, I killed a Zergling today, and mom's like, oh, I'm so proud of. Oh, that was the sound of the guy inside the SCV dying. Anyway, factory going down for Huashen. And I wouldn't be. Huashen is the kind of some players will almost always go for SK Terran, which is going for 2 starports and trying to mass science vessels, not worrying about the tanks at all. That's pretty standard for. Well, Flash does a little bit of each, but usually I think Flash favors the SK Terran. Huashen, though, he'll go either way. Usually, in fact, I think more often than not, he goes for the tank push. You still get 1 starport. Get some science vessels out. Science vessels are crucial. You need at least 1 science vessel so you can keep the Mutalisks at bay in the long game. But usually the Terrans balance their gas between science vessels and tanks. And some players like to have the mobility of just the science vessels with Meg Marines, and some players like to have the tanks along with. And it also depends on what the Zerg is doing. If they're getting lurkers, you might want to. If they're getting a lot of lurkers, you might want to get tanks out to try and shell the lurkers. Especially if they're getting a lot of sunken colonies, you want the tanks for that. If there's like 10 sunken colonies, you almost need the tanks. Anyway, there's this freaking Ruby sitting in the stands there. Well, not the stands, sitting in his team's dugout. But the Zerg doing a pretty good job of keeping Huashen in his base here, and he looks like he's going in for a major attack here. Medic Marines really bunched up nicely. They're all stimming. The Zergling's going in for a huge surround. Very nicely done by the Zerg. He's going to pick off this whole army and see rejoicing there in his teammate's success until he realized he was on camera, I think, and then he kind of sat back down to try and get out of the way. Very modest. I don't really like him. I really don't dislike him. He's really nice. He's a really well-mannered player. Is what I'm just saying. Like I've never really kind of taken a liking to him as a player. But he's a really, really good guy. And from the people that met him in Paris, he's like supposedly totally nice and was really, really friendly to everyone, all of his foreign fans and that sort of thing. So that's cool. But that's one of the things I've noticed about him, though. That's kind of what I was thinking of. Is he's kind of shy. He's kind of laid back. He's the opposite of your bests and your firebat heroes and that sort of thing, who are very much more outgoing. But in any case, yeah, nice move by the Zerg. He managed to take out that force, that kind of expeditionary force. Nice surround. He really just had a lot more Zerglings, I think, than Huashen expected, and just completely surrounded that Mech Marine force. Did a lot of damage there. He is getting his science vessel out. I don't see anything researching at the science facility.